Hello and welcome to Fresh Perspectives. As you can see, we've already been having a lot of fun this morning before we came on the air. We're going to do a program today on African drumming. And with me today, we have our longtime friend, Bill Kuwik, with us, who's also a massage therapist and an organic gardener and apparently a multi-talented man. And to his left is Judy Elwinger. Or no, wait a minute. Oh, to the far left is Judy Elwinger, down there. She is retired director of career development in Fredonia, and obviously also a musician. And we have in the middle between the two of them is Teresa Polanowski, a health and fitness instructor. And you saw a little bit of Teresa on the last time Bill was on my program. She's the lucky woman who got to have a massage that day. So anyways, we're doing a program on African drumming, and well, thank you all for coming on. We're doing this program on African drumming, and we're going to talk about it for a little bit to start out with here.
Well, if I can, these are called djembe. These drums are called a djembe, and the djembe actually means come together. It's a healing drum, it's a calling drum, and as people here notice that you can hear it for a long, long way. But one of the things about the djembe, it has the hourglass shape, as you see. There are other drums that sound similar, like ashiko and irokus, but the wood has to be made from a tree that gave us some kind of food. So either a fruit or a nut tree it has to come from. And I've been told that they consider that there's three spirits to the drum, and one spirit is the spirit of the tree that makes the drum. The head is a hide made from rawhide goat skin, and then the spirit of the maker, the person who actually made the drum. And then yeah, and it is primarily West Africa. I mean, we all drum with drummers mostly from well, Guinea, Ghana, Senegal, and Nigeria. But there are many other different types of drums throughout Africa. One of the rhythms we're going to play, the first rhythm we're going to play is it's a welcoming rhythm where it is played like if another tribe is coming to your tribe or another person is coming to your village. It's called funga. There's three parts to it. Anything else you wanted to say?
Yes. How did you guys go about learning how to do this?
Well, for me, it was kind of funny. I actually built that drum in '99, but in the summer of '98, a friend of mine who's a grape farmer in Westfield, I never thought I had rhythm. I played the trumpet for years, but I just never really thought I knew how to drum or had anything to do with rhythm. Well, he had a full moon in June party. He had all these drums set up underneath an apple tree, and I went over and sat down with a bunch of other people. We played, and I was like, that was just amazing. It was just like, it sounded good. And I don't know, that sort of hooked me. So then the next summer I built that drum. Didn't really play a whole lot until about 2013. And I started, there's a guy that drums up at Lilydale, George Cleese, started drumming with him. And then from that, I mean we went to, actually all of us have been to Jim Donovan workshops, but that's where I met Teresa. And then you told me about Mbai, and he used to drum at a juice bar up in Buffalo. He's from Senegal, master drummer from Senegal, and then Griffin Brady with Sly Boots. He's in fact, I don't know, they were supposed to be here already, but there's a troupe, an African drumming and dance troupe from Ghana, the Sakamu, that are going to be here performing for the next 3 months, like all over the country. So
wow.
It's like once you get into that world, there's a lot of people around that do it. So. And Teresa.
So the three of you took classes.
I started by taking classes. I don't know about the rest of them.
I began I found a drum circle. Knew nothing about it, but it kind of called me in. And after my first drum circle, I was hooked. And then I went to some classes, and I continue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And okay, so this is called drum circles, where a group of people sits in a circle and plays the drums then?
Well, there are drum circles, yes, but that's usually more like free form, freestyle. There usually is a leader who tries to put down a basic rhythm. But like I was saying earlier, that we basically go to classes like all three of us study at. She goes to Buffalo State. We go to Fredonia State. They have African drumming. They actually have beginning, intermediate, and advanced African drumming at Fredonia State, and then. Like I said, Teresa studies at Buffalo State, and then we really have gone to a lot of different teachers, and it is really a different kind of a thing. There's kind of a different culture which does not exist in Africa at all, where people go to the beach or someplace and they set up a circle of chairs, and then it is more of a freestyle kind of a thing. Whereas with people we play with, I mean, like at the college, I mean it's a music class, so we will like that fanga rhythm that I mentioned, there's three separate parts to it, and they're polyrhythmic, and they all kind of fit together. So you're playing three different rhythms, but they all work together. Whereas sometimes when you go to a drum circle at the beach, I find them honestly to be a little bit chaotic a lot of times, and I kind of have a hard time fitting in. But
so what caused you to get interested, Judy?
Well, a friend took me to a Jim Donovan workshop, and to be honest with you, I was so far out of my comfort zone the first time I went, I didn't think I was going to go back.
Mm-hmm.
But I did eventually, and then I started getting more interested, so I wanted to learn more, and that's when I started taking lessons from some of the people that Bill mentioned.
And just to put a little plug in for Jim, he usually comes to Darielle's yoga studio every spring. It's usually April or May, and he does a yoga. He calls it the yoga of drum and chant. So a lot of breathing, chanting, drumming.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were talking at the beginning of the program. They arrived before I did, and I started talking to some of the guys in the crew out in the other room when all of a sudden I heard these drums playing, and I said, "Oh, well, my guests must be here," and it sounded so good. It really sounded so good, and like I was telling these guys before we came on the air, I said I could belly dance to this. Mm-hmm. And Bill said, "Well, you could if you want to." And I said, "No, not really, because I'm not dressed. I'm not dressed for belly dancing." But anyways, when I was learning how to play finger cymbals, the Middle Eastern rhythms on finger cymbals, I remember this one instructor that I was learning the finger cymbals from referred to the drum as being the heartbeat of the dance.
Well, and I've heard it described in African drumming. They say that they say in Africa you'll never see a drummer drumming by himself, and you never see a dancer dancing by themselves. But I thought this was kind of a interesting way to look at it. But they say that if you think of like the room as a swimming pool, that the drummers are filling the pool with water, and the dancers are swimming in the water that the drummers create. And I wanted to mention too, I mean, there are health benefits to drumming.
Oh,
we always
definitely,
talk about
yes.
health related stuff, but for one thing, even the drum circles that I'm not a big fan of, it actually lowers your stress levels, lowers your the stress level, stress hormone cortisol is lowered by doing the drumming. It actually increases your immune system, and they say drumming and making music in a circle like that actually gives you a sense of community too. So there are a number of benefits. And then sometimes when we're drumming, we get so vigorous, it's so warm that you actually sweat. And I know Mbai says that the sweating, that's part of the cleansing, the healing part of the drumming too. So.
Yeah, now that you mention it, when you were playing those drums earlier, and we were kind of planning on how we were going to do this program, and it normally feels cool in here in the studio to me. I usually feel kind of cold, especially in the winter, but I started to feel hot, standing there listening to you playing the drums. So, is there anything else you want to say before?
Well, in sort of support of that, the one guy that I drum with, he's from Nigeria, Kasumu. His class on Tuesday nights, he calls it Kasumu's djembe workout, and I mean he will have us. I mean we will drum nonstop for a whole hour, and it's pretty vigorous. And sometimes when it's hot out, he says, I'm not going to let you guys stop until I see sweat hitting the floor.
Oh wow, that's pretty heavy sweating.
Yeah, he wants to sweat. But sometimes we drum at Canal Side in Buffalo, and the pavilion there. I mean, the one time we were there this last summer, I think it was close to 90 or a little bit over 90 outside, and we could drum outside. But then so we drum for an hour, and then the dancers come for the second hour, and then we'll drum for the dancers. And when we walked inside the building, like I said, if it was 90 outside, well, I think it was all of 90 outside. When we walked inside, the temperature had to be a good at least 10 to 15 degrees warmer, and
oh, wow.
And Griffin Brady, who actually runs the whole Sly Boots school, when we went inside, he said, "Man," he said, "I'm going to be surprised if one of these dancers don't pass out in here." It was just like that warm inside of that structure. So should we?
Yes.
Should we start a little rhythm? Do we want us to go over the basics for you, and then we'll play Fanga?
Okay. You want to instruct me right now, and then I'll play with you?
If you want to.
Okay.
Or do you want us to play something, and
yeah,
then we'll go over that?
Why don't you go ahead and do that first?
All right, so I'll play the break, and then we'll go right into the first accompaniment. So there's going to be three separate accompaniments here. So this is the break. I'll just do ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. So. good.
Really good. Yeah, it's there's something about drums. It does make you feel really good just to even listen to it.
Well, like I said, that rhythm, and that's the thing about like African rhythms. There's a purpose and a meaning to every rhythm, and like I said, that's funga, Funga, and that's a welcoming rhythm. So that would be played to another tribe coming to visit your tribe, or if there was a new person coming to your village, and that's kind of universal. I believe I've been told that that's originally from Senegal, but there's many of the African countries actually use that same rhythm. And then we were going to play another rhythm called cuckoo, which is, I was told that it's a love song, and they play that at weddings, and then I've been told it's just a general celebratory rhythm. And then my one friend who's actually from Ghana, he's a master dancer from Ghana, he said that it's actually to celebrate a big harvest of fish. So I'm pretty sure it's just a general celebratory rhythm, but
Okay, now are there differences in learning between left-handed people and right-handed people?
some people will change it up and play the opposite way if they're left-handed. But I know like a lot of right-handed people don't really get a good sound with their left. So like one of my teachers says, well, he says his teachers were like, I can't hear your left, I can't hear your left. So he just started playing more, starting everything with the left, and like that rhythm that we just played, funga, every one of those three rhythms start with the left. Many people feel more comfortable starting with the right, but that first one it's like a bass, tone, 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 then bass, bass, tone, tone, and then the second one, which was that starts with the left, and then that last part was the starts with the left. But many, you could do it either way, really. But I know a lot of times, like at the university, one of the students the other day was asking, like, well, can we change which hands we do it? And the instructor said, she said, I would really prefer that you try to keep the same hand patterns as I do. And it's different in different countries, different cultures, where like in Ghana, it's sort of known that their hand patterns are really, sometimes there are like double rights and double lefts and different. And it doesn't really matter a lot of times of the sound, although a lot of times your right will sound different from your left. But some people don't play them the way that the Ghanaians do, and but they say too though, if you can master the way the people from Ghana play, then a lot of the other rhythms come much easier because of the way that they will do different hand patterns like that.
Yeah, I know when I was learning finger symbols, the one instructor said that people who were left-handed might want to just do it in reverse of how she was teaching it, because she said you might be more comfortable that way.
Well, and sometimes what happens too, though, if you're actually in a circle and the teacher is over there, you have to think like, okay, if he's using his right, that's actually the opposite side. So you have to think like mirror image way too. But I think a lot of people have trouble like picking that up that way too. So sometimes
some people aren't good doing things mirror image.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes like if I'm going to give someone like a private lesson, sometimes we'll start like facing each other, but then I'll be like, if you sit next to me, you can actually look at my hands, and we're going to be doing the same thing. Whereas if we're across from each other, we'll be playing opposites.
Well, those of you in the viewing audience may have noticed that my three guests today are all wearing African dashikis. Bill said that he'd meant to bring one for me to wear too, but he forgot.
Yeah. Well, I also left my cell phone home too.
Do all of them belong to you, Bill? Or
No. They're all their own.
They're all their own. Okay.
This one was actually given to me as a gift. I'm not exactly sure where it came from, but it is kind of funny because I have several like that, and I saw a guy from Ghana at a drum class at actually Woodlawn Beach. It was actually on Memorial Day, and he had that one in red. And oh yes, it's traditional African dashiki, and I'm like, I have that exact same one, and I want to say it's from India or Malaysia or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think they do make them in India.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So
Cheaper there, but and then where's yours from?
Mine's actually from Guinea. It's I went twice now to the Wula. Wula makes one of the best drums,
That's
and
a
they
Wula,
come
this is
from
a
Guinea.
Wula.
And they have a drum and dance retreat in the Poconos in September. And one of the major instructors, and actually one of the co-owners, made some, not just dashikis, but other African clothing,
Oh,
and they
okay.
sell it there. And that's where I got this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're pretty. They're really pretty. Now, you guys were going to instruct me.
Yeah, so basically-
basically it's I slide out near the
Yeah, you
edge
should really
of the
like
seat.
what you would know being a yogi, that the sit bone should be like right at the edge
Right,
of the right at the front of the chair. Because the thing is, if you sit further back, you really don't. I mean, unless you have I've seen guys that are tall that have really long legs, and they can actually sit back, and they still have enough leg that they can put their legs around the drum. But yeah, typically you sit towards the front of the drum, and I showed you before that if the drum sits flat, you don't really get the sound. So you hear what that does, but when you tip it, the sound comes out the bottom of the drum.
Okay.
So and then you will see sometimes people tip it this way, and that's not the way to do it. But yeah, tip it slightly away from yourself. So then and then there's three basic sounds that the drum makes, and if you make like a little triangle with your hands and fingers over the center of the drum, that's about where you should be. I mean, the bend of your wrist should be like just at the
edge?
the edge of the drum. So then when you hit the heel of your hand is not on the edge; it's just inside that. But you don't have to reach way out either.
Okay.
It should be just
Okay.
about like that. And so if we just like do that, that's a bass note, and then you can do both sides. So those are our basses, and then if you keep your hands like that, and then just bring your fingers back, fingers together, that's a tone, and the hand should really the hand should bounce. And here you can really the tone, the wrist should be a little bit more stiff, and then to get the slap note, you open the fingers. So you should be able to hear a difference between. So if we want to review, so let's do like 2 basses, 2 tones, 2 slaps, so it'll be. So do you want to play with us? We'll do the one that we were playing before. That.
Oh, the one that I already tried.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So this is called Zeppela. Some people call it boompity boompity or cross hands, but basically let's start with. So it's going to be a bass right, tone left, tone right. Let's do that again. How about if I play it and then you guys? It'll be like a call and response. So I'll play it and then you play it back. So.
Okay.
No, wait for me to stop. I'll play it, and then you guys will play it afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So I'll go, and then now, there you go. No.
I was switching.
And then the second part of it is it's just going to be the opposite. We're going to hit the bass with our left, and then tone to tone. So let me do it again. Then you guys will like answer me. So to put it all together, that's actually 2 halves, 2 phrases that make the full phrase with the rhythm. So I'll just play it. I'll just play one whole sound or set of it. So it's. So we'll all do it together though. Okay. So it's going to be bass right, tone, bass left. play cuckoo, which I was saying is that other rhythm. Would you want me to just show you? There's two separate rhythms. They're fairly simple.
Okay, I'll try.
Let's do that. Let's do this.
I can see that when you're learning this, you have to kind of start out slow.
Right, and you have to focus at first, but eventually, and that's where you can really. And I said to breathe. That's another part. You should really keep breathing, just kind of like in yogic breathing. But the thing is, like when you first start, you have to focus and you have to like watch your hands and stuff. But eventually, you get to the point where your hands know the rhythm, and you don't have to think
It's
about
like
it anymore.
it's a subconscious sort of thing.
Right. It's like
you know?
it's like your body knows the rhythm, but you don't have to think about it. Wait, is that my right hand or my left hand or whatever? And of course, these. I studied the Pon Logo rhythm with Griffin starting in the summer of 2014, and when the Ghanaians came in November. This one guy said, "Well, usually when I go to a thing like this, he said, I'll just go." He says, "And it fits in." I'm thinking, fits in? It's like I've been studying this rhythm for 5 months. They played it so fast, I was just like, my hands won't move that fast. I just couldn't keep up with them.
Yeah.
But then, some of them, like one friend of mine, he's from Senegal, and when he was, I think when he was 60, he said he'd been drumming for 61 years. He said because his mother drummed when he was in her belly still, but yeah, so basically cuckoo is, if you want to think of words that go with it, and sometimes it's good to have words that go with them, but it's I always was taught this is the second accompaniment to it, but it's fairly simple, but it's a bass, right bass, left bass, boom, 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 and then the other part of it is, and you don't have to worry, it's supposed to be slap, slap, tone, tone, but if we just do all whatever, but it's gonna be like you say, I like chicken. So if you just listen. I guess you could say tofu. I like tofu. So let's. Yep. That's the second accompaniment, the cuckoo, and I believe that's spelled. Is that C-U-C-U? K-U-K-U? Yeah. And it doesn't mean you're cuckoo, but anyway, the first accompaniment that goes with that, and I didn't learn this one for a long time, and George taught us just the one that we just played for cuckoo. But you actually play 2 rounds of this to every one of the boom boom I like chicken ones, but it's actually a slap, and then a bass, and then tone tone. Wait, let's slow it down for her. So it's gonna be slap bass.
Okay, slap bass.
Yep. Then tone tone.
Tone tone. Slap bass. No, wait. Slap bass. Tone tone. Okay.
Slap right.
Slap bass.
Tone tone.
Tone tone.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Something else about the health benefits, they actually say that because with drumming, it actually does help your brain function in a huge way, because the fact that you're using both hands, there's studies out, even I want to say GE did a study, and they say that somehow, and it's especially like the playing the rhythms, partly with the breathing, but they say also, like, once you get into it and you start like moving your body, it just like lights up all kinds of different parts of your brain. And so they say that that drummers, and we all know this, that we have superior brains than anybody. But yeah, there's a lot of data out there as far as that goes. So
Well, it would really help with your motor coordination skills.
Right, right.
Like people, I don't know how old you guys are, but
30. Yeah.
yeah, I'm 69, and I really don't know how old Bill is, but
I think I've known you for 21 years? No, 20.
25, I think it was.
At least. Well, I started with Darielle in '93, so that's actually 26 years ago. Just about now. It was like it was the winter section of '93 that I started with her.
Yeah, really. We've all been doing things a lot longer than that cameraman over there has, since before he was born, a long time before he was born. So,
well, the one thing about, like I said, about the sense of community and feeling that, I know that, like Jim Donovan tells us, he says, really up until about 300 or 400 years ago, he said, this is what people did. He says, after you worked in the fields, after you did your work during the day, everybody would gather together. He says, oftentimes around a fire, and he says, and people would drum and people would dance. And he said, that was like culturally what everybody did. And he said, we've just, like in these last few hundred years, kind of have gotten away from that. And you think about it, like there, like I said, in Africa, that's what they do. I mean, every night somebody will bring out the drums, and the dancers, dance with the drummers, and like I said, when we do it at Canal Side, or when we go in Buffalo, it's like an hour of actual drumming class, and then usually the dance class goes a little bit more than an hour, but we stay and we support the dancers by drumming for them.
Mm-hmm. Now, Bill told me I had to take my rings off in order to play the drums. Would you explain to the viewing audience why you don't wear drums?
Well, when you hit the drum, hard, the ring will actually put dents, and it'll actually cut. It can even cut the head of the drum, and it's actually a minimum of about $100 to put a new head on one of these things. Like this drum, when I first got it, this was like $400. I paid $350 to take the class to build that drum.
Oh, really?
But you think like, well, what? It's a piece of goat hide with some string, but. And you usually reuse the string, but it's, when you think about like having to take all of the string out, first of all, getting the new head, usually you soak it in water so it's pliable, and then you have to restring the whole thing. And I know one drum that I bought that I restrung myself. I got it restrung on a Sunday, and every day I would go through it at least a couple times a day and re-pull all the strings, because they have to be fairly tight. And so every day I was pulling this thing for like a week, a few times a day. And I'll tell you, when somebody says they want $100 for the labor and then another $25 for the head, you're just like, just do it, because it is actually a lot of work. And a lot of people say $400 for a drum like that. It's like, well, if I were to give you the cord, the hide, and a piece of raw wood that had to be carved like this, that's all like hand carved, a lot of these, and especially that one. If you look on the inside of the drum, you can see where the chisel marks are, where it was actually carved. Some of these, I think these wula are actually turned on a lathe, at least the outer portion of it. It's
and the drums that two of you are using, you said those are pieces of rubber tires.
Yeah, it's like a bicycle tire, basically, or maybe part of a motorcycle tire that they you can see there's just like little nails that hold it in.
And that keeps it from sliding when you're playing the drum.
It keeps it from sliding on these kind of floors, but I want to say also like in Africa, where they're probably playing more on the dirt. I had it was an M-bike called the Lion Drum. It had a picture of a lion carved into it. And that drum was made from mango wood. And the mango wood is really light blonde colored wood. And even when it's really, really thick, it's super light, like it's a really lightweight drum. But from sitting on the ground, you could see where there was getting to be a little bit of rot around it. So I want to say for two reasons. I mean, you know, it's a little bit harder to hold like a drum like that on a slippery floor like this because it slides a little bit. So the rubber tire kind of helps that a little bit. But then, you know, if you're on dirt or on a beach or something like that, well, on the beach, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference because it's just sand. But that way, it's just like it's not sitting like right on the
so
the moist ground.
it's somewhat protecting the wood then
Right,
also.
right.
Of course, you said that somebody you knew had something happen.
Right, yeah, my friend Stuart, he actually drummed for years and he always wore his wedding ring, and he can't drum anymore because he actually developed a really big cyst on his finger. But you can actually damage the head of the drum with the ring. You can obviously damage your finger like he did, but the other thing is if you're a little bit too close to the edge and you hit right where the ring is, you can actually deform the metal of the ring too. You can kind of, you know, you think like over and over, like having that where it's hitting this piece of wood, and then there's metal rings in here that there's two rings at the top, and you can see on yours like that's the one ring, and then the other ring is there, and then that's all tied together and then laced that way to tighten it. But they're pulled really, really tight to get the that real high end sound on it like that. So yeah, so there's you know, I mean, you can, it's like anything. I mean, the more you look into it, the more depth there is, the more there is to know about it.
Yeah.
I remember Albert Einstein said that once, you know, you climb the one peak, it's not like you're like, wow, I'm up at the top of the world. It's like then you can see all the other peaks that are up at that same height too. So.
Yeah. Shall we proceed then?
Yeah.
with
So
some
we're
more
gonna
music?
do we'll do cuckoo, but so we were doing the boom boom, but now we're gonna do the. If I get us started on that, can you three keep playing the boom boom I like chicken, and then I'll play the polyrhythm. It might be kind of confusing for you, but if you can, try to stay with them, and then I'm gonna play the different one. Let's get it started. So, well, how about if I play the break?
Okay,
and
we're
then
gonna play the one that's
boom boom.
flat.
No, I'll play that one while you guys are playing the boom boom I like chicken. The one we were just playing.
Okay.
But let's start with the break, and the break in Africa, they don't start a rhythm by saying, okay, ready, 1, 2, 3, 4. They play a break, which is a different kind of a rhythm, and it's sort of it leads you into the actual rhythm. So it begins if there's ever a change in the rhythm, and then it ends the rhythm. And I've heard this one, and we'll say this, but this is how the break goes for cuckoo. He'll say, Mama wants me to go to school, and that's a different note that we didn't go over. But that there's a flam, and that's where you hit just slightly ahead with your right to the left, and then so that's how you say. And then after I do that, then it'll be. So this is how it'll sound. Like when I finish the break, then boom, boom, I like chicken. So I'll start with the break. have about 10 more minutes?
Yeah, a little slightly under, yeah,
Okay.
almost 10 minutes.
Do you want to, should we play another rhythm?
Okay, I'll try.
Any suggestions?
Thank you. He wants suggestions from you.
I mean, I was thinking Makanda. I know that's a little bit complex, but it's not horrible. And then
I'll learn it along with her.
Oh, he's suggesting one that you haven't learned yet?
Oh, maybe
knows
3
it.
years ago I did it once.
so it's just that's how it starts. Let me just play it once so you can hear it. Then we'll work on it a little bit at a time. So it's gonna be. I know it's complicated. Okay, so we're just gonna go. So the first 4 notes is bass, bass, and this is supposed. You can do it as a slap or a tone, but it's supposed to be like a rim shot where it's like that. So it's. So I'll play it once, and then we'll all play it together. Okay, so it's okay. That's, and then it's the next part is going to be. Wait. It's kind of the opposite of what we just did because this is bass, bass, step, and this is going to be. So it's almost like a mirror image of the first part.
Okay,
so
it's
gonna
sort of like a reverse of the other.
Right, so it's going to be
Okay.
bass, slap, bass, bass. So it's going to be left, right, left, right. You got it. Here, just listen, and then maybe we'll do like call and response. I'll play it. You guys come back. So it's bass, step. You got it. So this is the whole thing. That's the whole thing, and then after that, that other part is just it's right, right. So right, right, left, right, left. That's it. One thing I just remembered in that first part, if you watch my left hand, the left hand, all it does is basses. So it's, watch the left. So that's all you're doing with the left. You're just, so the right's going. Left in there because it's right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right.
I'm losing my place.
Jim
So
Donovan says just smile and
yeah,
keep on going.
yeah, that's what I meant to say that at the beginning. That's what Jim always says. He says, if you feel like, he said, if you made a mistake or you think you made a mistake, he said, just smile and keep on playing.
Oh, okay.
So when we're on stage tonight, no.
So it's right, left, right, left,
Left.
left, right.
Yep. Then left,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So
So
base,
it's
base.
so it's right, left,
Yep.
right, left, right, left.
No.
No.
Like this. So it's right, left, left, right, or I mean, right, left, right, left. Then you're going to do another left, right, left, right. So it's like the opposite. So it's bass, bass, slap, bass, bass, slap, bass, bass,
Okay. Right, left,
slap,
right, left,
left again there,
left,
slap, and
right.
bass, left, bass, right.
left, right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Right, left, right, left, left, right, left, left.
Well, that's your right, but you're right.
Okay.
You had your hands right. You just said it wrong.
Or you can just do this.
Right.
Wait, what's that? There's like a 4-part rhythm that I think if you just go, what is it? That fits in too.
Yes, it was. I'm so glad that
That
you.
was called the Makandan. I should have told you. We all needed to think like positive thoughts because that's a Haitian voodoo rhythm, actually.
Oh, is it really? So
wonder
it's
it.
kind of like, it's funny that you should say that because one instructor that I know of, when she's teaching the shimmy, she said something about the shimmy has a lot of power to it, so be careful what you think about. What you think about, she said doing the shimmy has the power to create thunderstorms and earthquakes.
There you go.
So be careful what you're thinking
Right.
when you shimmy.
Right, right.
So,
And just real quick too, before we end, I know we're out of time, but if anybody's interested, if you go to Facebook and just go to Drum Circles of Western New York, there often are different drumming venues around. I know there's Jamestown Thunder down in Jamestown, and I know there's in Hamburg Beach, there's a drum circle there in the summer. The beach at Lilydale, they have during the season they have a Friday night drum circle there too. So.
oh, okay. So if any of you out there are interested in learning how to do this, those are some ideas of places that you can go to try it out. Well, unfortunately, we have come to the end of another episode of Fresh Perspectives, and I'll see the rest of you in the viewing audience in a couple of weeks on the next episode. So.
Thanks for having me.